Hello, Emily Gibbons here. It's about end of May, almost June. So I'm popping in here with some ideas. But before I do, please make sure if you love seeing new videos from the Literacy Nest, please like and subscribe. You've heard that a million times, but I'm just going to say it again. And I always appreciate it when you can share these links with someone that you think will benefit from seeing them. All right, so let's talk about your summer reading list. What do you plan to read this summer? I hope it's not just educational reading or professional reading. I hope you've got some pleasure reading, beach reading, pool reading, whatever you choose, maybe by the lake, maybe just sitting outside on your porch. But definitely have some pleasure reading lined up. However, since this is the Literacy Nest, we're not just going to be talking about pleasure reading. Sorry, everybody. But I do have quite a few books that I look forward to reading this summer. No, we're going to talk about some professional reading. Now, this is important to stay current, as we know, right? To stay ahead of the latest research, but also to learn how to help your students better. So I've got 6. I know 5 is usually like, the common number, but I couldn't decide with just 5. I had to add just one more because I had just found out about it. So I'm going to share 6 different books that I think you're going to really enjoy this summer. Some are like really new. And so if you haven't checked them out before, definitely do this. And by all means, you don't have to break the bank on these books. Some of them you can get from your public library, or you could get them and read them on your Kindle if you like to read that way. So something to consider. And you might be thinking, Emily, I don't have time to read 6 books this summer. That's okay too. Maybe you're taking a course. Maybe you're presenting on something yourself and you're busy with that. So if you look through this list and you're thinking, I could pick up maybe like 2 or 3, that's great. All right, so let me just share my screen here. All right, so here's the first one that you're going to pick up. I'm just going to adjust my position. There we go. Okay, so the first one we're going to pick up this summer is one that I literally keep right next to my desk all the time. And I've even been talking about this on the podcast a lot in season 4 this past school year. And this is Essentials of Dyslexia Assessment and Intervention by Nancy Mather and Barbara Wendling. Now, here's the situation with this book. This is not a new book. However, it is the 2nd edition. You want to get the 2nd edition. And I love that it's physically bigger. The layout is so helpful, and it's got a ton of information in here. You are absolutely going to be using this as a resource in so many areas. And when you're working with people with dyslexia, thinking about assessment and how to align the science with interventions. This is practical, not just for teachers, but also for parents too. Parents can absolutely grab this if they're interested. So just keep in mind, though, you want to get that 2nd edition because it is updated, and the 1st edition is actually much smaller in size. So I like this one. All right, so that's the first one you're going to be picking up. All right. Book number 2 is Teaching Beyond the Diagnosis. As you may or may not know, this is written by Casey Harrison, my co-host of the Together in Literacy podcast. So Casey went with Jossie Bass Publishers to write this fantastic book that is really, try to think of it as a framework. It's a framework to really think about dyslexia and how it can be structured within the classroom setting, using evidence-based strategies, but also giving you sort of this unique perspective into how to be working with students with dyslexia. And we all know everybody has students with dyslexia in their classroom. So this is a book that really is written for the teachers in mind. And I think that you're going to find it very accessible, very practical. And Casey was so sweet and gave me a little shout out in her acknowledgement. So I really appreciate that, Casey. So you're going to pick up Teaching Beyond the Diagnosis. Okay. Lots and lots of actionable strategies in this book as well that you can put into place in your classrooms. All right. That was book number 2. What's book number 3? Let's find out. Okay. This one is not really new. It came out, I believe, in 2009, but it's new to me. And this is called From ABC to ADHD, and it's written by Eric Tritus. Now, and this, the subtitle says what parents should know about dyslexia and attention problems, but this book honestly is written not just for parents. It's absolutely written for classroom teachers too. But it's really going to give you just a great explanation about the roles when ADHD and dyslexia kind of converge together. We're going to talk about diagnosis, treatment, coexisting conditions, right? Because dyslexia, doesn't always act alone, right? Usually there might be some other things. And how we can sort of create a framework to help these students who exhibit these coexisting conditions together and these learning differences. So this is really to learn more about our neurodivergent thinkers and learners, but great for parents and teachers. It's not a very thick book either, and some really, really good explanations of both, because I know there's a lot of questions surrounding ADHD and how it can affect dyslexia. So this is another sort of an informational book that you can pick up. All right, so that was book number 3. All right, so let's go to, I want to make sure I'm doing this right. I want to make sure I'm clicking my slides correctly. Okay, I did it. All right, next book. Okay, I don't have this in my hands. Sorry for this video. I apologize. But this book is The Writing Revolution 2.0. Did you know that there was a 2.0? I just found out about this a couple weeks ago. So the writers of The Writing Revolution have come together and realized that, you know what? Teachers loved The Writing Revolution, the first edition, right? But what they were really craving was more guidance for implementation. And I always felt that personally after I read The Writing Revolution many years ago. I felt like the whole framework seemed great and things that I hadn't considered before, especially working at the sentence level and the work that has to happen there in order for students to be able to compose well-written paragraphs and essays and so forth. But I still felt like after I finished reading the first edition, like I was craving more. Like I needed more guidance. I almost felt like they should have come up with perhaps some workbooks that we could be using with our students that were based off of The Writing Revolution. Who knows? Maybe they'll be doing that. I don't know. But this provides more guidance for implementation in the updated version. So I'm hoping that people will enjoy reading this summer, digging into it, see how it's different from the first edition. All right. So that was the 4th book. Remember I said I had 6. All right. So here comes the next one. All right, this is one that I've had for a long time. I recommend it a lot. I talk about it on the podcast. I talk about it in blogs. I just want to bring it up again, especially since I had suggested a book talking about ADHD. So this one is Helping Students Take Control of Everyday Executive Functions. And we will have a special focus on attention in this book. So this book is written by Paula Moraine, and this is really going to talk about all of the different executive functions that really students need for attention, memory, organization, planning, initiation of tasks, and how to be flexible, but also thinking about inhibition too. So when we're developing students' task completion skills, also to even help them learn how to self-advocate and become more responsible with their tasks, executive function skills are really, really important. So this is sort of a book that's going to explain those skills, but then give you some practical activities and strategies of how to strengthen those skills, especially for our kids that may have attention challenges and need support in the areas of executive function. So this is a book, once again, it's a thin book. It's not going to take you very long to get through it, but lots and lots of great examples in here too. Okay, so that was the 5th book. All right, we've got the next book. What will it be? Okay. All right. So I really believe that if we are educators who are working with people who have dyslexia, that we not only need to stay on top of the science and learning about intervention, but we also need to be looking at dyslexia stories and from the perspective of that person with dyslexia. And we know that not every dyslexia story out there is one of triumph and success. We know that there are really, really insurmountable challenges that people face with dyslexia along the way. And then it's not one all of just roses and beauty. There's really some hardship too. So it's some of these stories that I present, and I've done one in the past, that feel a bit raw and gritty, and also have stories of trauma. But it's ones that we need to read and hear and learn about so that we can develop a better sense of empathy as educators. And so this book is written by former NFL player Dion Butler, and it's called The Gift and Curse. So I actually met with Dion virtually about a month ago, and he shared his story with me, but he also was talking about his book. Now, Dion is going to be a future podcast guest. I just want to throw that out there. Season 5, we're planning on it, and will participate in other future events for TLN. Not going to say what, but you might be able to guess. But this book really is a story that is going to share Dion's early challenges with dyslexia and his journey to learn how to read. He actually found an Orton-Gillingham tutor in Michigan when he was an adult to help him learn how to read. Yay, shout out to Orton-Gillingham teachers everywhere. So I won't get into that, but this story is going to be one of inspiration. And so we read these stories, as I said before, we develop a better sense of empathy towards our own students or even our own children. Okay, that is your last summer reading suggested book. However, before you go, I just want to remind you that the summer learning can continue with the 7th annual Building Readers for Life Summer Virtual Conference. Yes, it's virtual. So you don't have to worry about spending a lot of money on expensive flights and hotels. This is a wonderfully affordable event for educators, but also for parents as well, homeschoolers, school admin. The great thing about this event is that it awards CEUs. We are accredited through ISET and ASHA. So this event will be beginning July 21st, 2025, and we will have access to 16 different presentations. We have a special focus this year on dyslexia advocacy, but we have just a wide variety of presentations that I know you are going to love, and you do not want to miss out on this. I will have the link to that. Woo, there goes my alarm. I will have the link to that in the comments of this video, as well as all of the links to these books for your summer reading enjoyment. All right, so thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope that you enjoy these books. And don't forget about Building Readers for Life Summer Conference 2025. I'll see you soon.